evening and welcome to VI Voices. I'm Emil Henderson III along with Clint Ferris, Boyd McFarland, and Yoki Hanley. We're here tonight as we continue our election coverage as we have with us Jamila Russell, who is seeking a seat in the 31st Legislature of the Virgin Islands. And so we'll be talking with her a little bit about what she plans to do. We know that she ran last year and she was on the show last year. And so we'll talk a little bit with her tonight and find out what she has planned as she continues to seek political office. But we'll start off tonight's show, as we do every show, with our hot topics. First of all, the Third Circuit Court of Appeals has issued an opinion in the Soraya Dayasi Caulfield and John Canigata matter that was against the Elections Board and Carolyn Fox, and they have paved the way, cleared the way, I should say, that they are allowed to seek political office as an independent and a Republican, primarily because our legislature and our statute does not prohibit it. So they'll fully be now a four-person or four-group race in the gubernatorial race this year. What are your thoughts? Have you seen the opinion?
I haven't seen the opinion, but I welcome this opinion. Then no, let's compel the legislature to correct the law if they choose to do so. But I think this is fair, and I think Ms. Caulfield and Mr. Canigata, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They used the courts to correct a wrong which they saw, and they did so, and it was in their favor.
What was the wrong?
No, to them they perceive a wrong that denied them the opportunity to run as a ticket, as a mixed ticket.
Mixed party,
so
right.
They went and they challenged it through the courts, which the law affords them to do so. Our system,
which is good.
Our Republican form of government allows them to do so, and they did, and they won, and I'm glad for that.
Well, this decision reverses the decision of the district court by Judge Lewis, who issued the initial decision saying that they could not run as a mixed party ticket because the statute specifically limited it to you running together as like parties based on the interpretation of the supervisor of elections. What is interesting is that the court goes into a discussion as to where our election code comes from, and it was taken from Pennsylvania. And in Pennsylvania, the specific statute that is supposed to be equivalent to ours indicates that if you're going to run as an independent and you are a member of a party, you must denounce your party 30 days before a primary. That's what the law says in Pennsylvania and in a lot of many other states. When the Virgin Islands adopted that statute, the Virgin Islands left out that line. So everything else is there except the part that says you must denounce your party affiliation.
So clearly.
And so the court then says twice they amended the statute since they adopted it, and twice they didn't correct it. So they must infer that they intentionally left that part out. And so then they're right. The court is correct that they can run. Unless the legislature now goes back and amends it and says you have to do this, this, and this, then that's going to change. So I suspect that this will be the first and last year that you will have a mixed team, because I'm sure those Democrats will run into the legislature and will amend it immediately, and this will be the last time that will ever happen.
I'm looking, Emil. I'm awaiting to see that.
That's what's going to happen.
That. I'm sure they will.
Because the reason why that's done is because it defeats the purpose of a party.
Yeah.
So if you're a Democrat, why would I ever want to go if I can just simply say, well, I'll just chill. Y'all have your primary if you want to, and I'll just go run with somebody else and go to the party.
Have you heard the Democratic Party in this involving this discussion? Have they published an opinion even when the team of Caulfield and Canigata decided to run?
No.
Okay.
Because it's not their business.
No, but
who we should have heard from were the Republicans. Well, we only got like 8 of them.
Correct.
But who we should have heard from were the Republicans. They should have intervened and says, well, okay, the law says that you can run, fine, but you will not run with our party name, and they should have stripped him of his right to run as a Republican.
And a chairman and all of that.
Correct. Of all his power or whatever it is that they want to do for the party.
I would like to see is this Democratic Party will have teeth to do so in the next upcoming election.
If
legislature.
If somebody pushes it.
They're going to do it.
If somebody pushes it. Because I can see now where, just like what they did with Baptiste, when Baptiste did that, you know, and he got whatever sanctions or whatever from them. All it takes is just one person in the party to be quite upset with them and spin around and do that.
But it was personal. The titular head was upset with Baptiste. And the titular head was also upset with Emmett Hansen, but Emmett Hansen came back with his tail between his legs, apologized, and Sean and Baptiste didn't do anything, and they penalized Baptiste for that.
Oh, we'll see.
Well,
It would be nice if they did.
I don't suspect that this will last long.
Okay, we'll see.
They can change the law between now
You
and
are-
November, but I believe that they're going to go in there and they're going to make the change, because then you run the risk of, you're a Democrat, you don't necessarily follow all the craziness these Democrats are doing, you're a threat to their power, because then you can decide, I'm not participating in your primary, I'm going to pick somebody else that's an independent that's really cool and really nice, and then we'll go run.
So-
and then there's nothing they'll be able to do to you.
So you're telling me lame duck Cole, not lame duck Payne, and you have
No, I'm not saying it will happen in this legislature.
okay, good.
It may happen in the one that's coming in.
Right.
correct. Yes,
Right.
It may, but I say I want to see that happen.
Well, it just makes perfect. If you believe in the party politics, it makes sense to do that, because
does.
it undermines why you would have a party.
It does, but remember now, you don't have a Uzi Richards for them to hide this bill behind.
True.
You don't have a Uzi Richards.
True.
And so, which one of those scary cracks will have the courage to do so in the upcoming legislature?
Well, we'll see who makes it, and
Yes,
then
we
we'll
will.
know from that point on. All right. Next thing, you've been talking for weeks about crime going on in this territory, and last night we had a senator, Senator Capehart, who was carjacked. Her and her friend were carjacked last night, and the police did APBs, pull people off of the streets to have overtime to find and apprehend these people. I'm not quite sure why they couldn't apprehend them, since her car has her picture all over it. I would think it's a car you could find. So I don't understand why it's taking so long. But the issue that's been going on, I've been looking at my Facebook page, a lot of people are discussing it, and while the sentiment is this shouldn't happen to anybody, the sentiment that some people are having is, why does it take it to happen to someone like her, meaning a senator, before you can really deal with the issues regarding the crime in our community? Because regular people like you and me have been carjacked for years, and there's not been an actual response to that. But you wait until something happens to a senator or to a judge, or whoever,
well-to-do
and it
person.
How you do it
becomes,
fancy.
Well-to-do
What's that
person.
about tourists?
and then it becomes a big issue.
Correct.
It's a matter of classism and elitism, plain and simple. If you are not within the haves, then you don't matter. I can tell you personally, I had a robbery, oh Lord, about 20 years ago, still waiting on the people to come down and do the forensics. I could tell, I
From
tell
20
you,
years ago?
from 20 years ago, I know the statute
You know they're not
of
coming.
limitations. And I
Oh, okay. I want to make sure you're not still waiting.
I understand
Oh, okay.
that, but I'm making a point.
Oh, okay.
And again, with my situation with my husband's murder 10 years ago, still waiting to hear if they've even have
La Liga.
who won. That they don't. You understand? And I know there's others who have murdered loved ones longer than I have and still waiting. That's one reason why I say I can't support this so-called police wannabe senatorial candidate for the atrocious and egregious handling of the case and his personal just denigration of myself and my family during that time. You understand? Because I'm saying, if he was able to treat me so, a woman in grief, pregnant at the time, who just had her husband viciously murdered, who is you to run as senator? That means you don't really care about the people. That's how I see it. You understand?
But my thing is, I want to know where have everyone been for the last 8 years? And I continue.
Mafali.
No, I don't. But the thing about it is, when we have been going bad economic times, it says, and the research is out there, that crime increases, and we have consistently see crime keep increasing and increasing. One year murders may go up, other years home invasion and robberies go up, or both of them may be at all-time highs within the Virgin Islands. And all throughout these past 8 years, we have consistently see those numbers up, elevated to alarming levels.
Record levels.
And we are only concerned when someone of the senator status fall prey to these
Let me let you
crimes.
correct yourself. Not we. they
But
are
no,
only
but
concerned.
the government is all of us. So the government is all of
The
us.
government is all of us,
So
but
we
for the
only respond to
majority,
those needs.
for the majority of those of us who are the government, especially because I had a discussion with one of my children, and she's echoing the sentiments that you see with everybody in terms of, the children are seeing, the young people are seeing that you have people like a certain senator doing tax evasion for 20 years and getting a slap
Not
on the
evasion.
wrist. Okay,
But-
not filing taxes. We have the governor who took money from the coffers to go fix up his house, and we're seeing all these other illegal activities done by people who we elected put in, and nothing happening to them.
But you see, this is the administration only responds to issues because it react or respond to issues because they are a part of it. We got an ADA, a special coordinator for ADA. Why? How long have we been dealing with special education within the Virgin Islands? And how long has it been an issue that we are not getting all the services mandated to us by the federal government for special education? But because we are family, we now have a family that's in government house that has a family member, then it becomes priority one. It has been priority one in my family for years.
All right. Well, let's see if we can make Miss Jamila Russell priority number one. She's here tonight as we're going to talk with her about her bid for the 31st Legislature of the Virgin Islands, see where she is, what she's going to be doing, what her ideas are, and how she's going to deal with being a senator if she is successful in November. We'll be back in a moment with Jamila Russell. Back in a moment. Good evening and welcome back to VI Voices. We now have with us Miss Jamila Russell, who is seeking a seat in the 31st Legislature of the Virgin Islands. Good evening, Jamila.
Good evening.
Good evening. This is not your first time on VI Voices. You were here 2 years ago when you were seeking a seat.
Yep.
And you did an excellent showing the last time as well. There were more people running that time. So I'm thinking that, with such a great showing you had the last time, this time you may very well be successful in your bid into getting in the legislature.
So do I.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about who you are, for those who may not know, and why are you seeking the seat again?
Well, for those of you who may not know me, I'm Jamila Russell. I'm a product of Frederickstead. I was born and raised in the Ludwig Harrigan housing community, and I was raised by a group of individuals that cared and nurtured me and pushed me to want to excel. And I'm running because I'm a mother, and I have 2 boys, and I care about the community. And I think oftentimes when people run for elected office, they run for elective office for the prestige. And I'm here because I have viable, workable solutions to the problems that exist. And I think that many people, they run for office and they've never walked a mile in a regular man's shoes, so to speak. They tell you, I can fix your problems, but they have no idea what your problems are or how to get out of the problems. They come from a position where they look down rather than they look through or walk with you. And there's an old saying that says, don't judge me unless you've walked a mile in my shoes. And many people haven't walked the mile that many Virgin Islanders have walked. And I'm telling you, I've walked it. I continue to walk it till, I may need a foot treatment because of the hardships I face, which is similar to those being faced by people every day here in the territory.
Now, one of the big issues going on right now, of course, is the economy, and that is single-handedly leading to a lot of other issues within our community. What are your plans for revenue generation of new money to our community?
Well, in order to get new money, you have to have new investments coming into the territory. If anybody tells you otherwise, they're lying to you. There is no money circulating no new money circulating into the territory. Many people feel that if you open another casino, that's going to generate new money. I tell you, casinos don't generate money. Visitors and tourists coming to the casinos may bring in new money, but to say I'm going to open a casino when 80% of the population that goes to the casino is your local residents, you're circulating the same old money. So how do you get new money? You either raise taxes, which is something the people of the Virgin Islands certainly can't afford, or you allow for new investments to come in, and you allow for the process for people to get their businesses started to be streamlined. There's too much red tape in getting something done here in the territory, and we have too many naysayers, especially sometimes on St. Croix to our own detriment in moving forward. Yes, we need to protect our environment. Yes, we need to protect our people, and we need to attract businesses that will be non-polluting to the territory and would offer jobs to the people on St. Croix. And we need to adjust our local laws to reflect that. And if somebody has a problem, let them take us to court. That is my position.
Okay. So you're talking about you're talking about sustainable growth, sustainable development that will hopefully not make us a carbon copy of St. Thomas or any other Caribbean island, but specific to St. Croix itself.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. No.
I was going to ask, are you done?
Go ahead.
Wait,
no, okay.
Jamila, make it twice. You're not.
Give me no, but she smiled after me. But anyway, Jamila, you talk about the community and the people, right? And I'm assuming you're from the people and you're from the community in which you speak of. Okay. You also talk about new investment or businesses coming in. You have a human resources background, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. The workforce. Talk to us about the workforce. We have a poor workforce according to Department of Labor. Do you have a plan, or what's your plan in terms of developing the workforce or developing the people of the Virgin Islands for these same investments that are supposed to come in for them people?
And that's where the executive branch and the Department of Labor has failed our people. The purpose of that department is the Department of Labor. They're supposed to provide the labor force or the training necessary through their training program. There's a training division, and that's where proper planning comes in. And when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Now, if you know you're a member of the executive branch, you sit in the governor's cabinet, and you're supposed to be privy to the people that he's trying to lure into the territory. Now, if you know you're going to try to lure watchmakers into the territory, then you need to be training the workforce to make the best watches possible and provide those kind of training programs through the department and through the other government entities that's tasked with training the population. What we've done, we allowed Hovenza to be here for however long, and then as a human resources professional in Hovenza, I had to go to Puerto Rico to get in a hydroblaster. And a hydroblaster is somebody who does spray water, because we didn't have the trained manpower here. And what I did at Triangle was I started a hydroblasting training program where we trained individuals locally to become hydroblasters. And then other subcontractors took the lead, because I was like, why am I paying these Puerto Ricans to come over? And no offense, I could talk about Puerto Ricans because I'm half Puerto Rican or three quarters or mix up, whatever I am.
That's enough.
But I can talk about them. Why are we paying them these huge sums of money to come from Puerto Rico, and every Saturday or every Friday they fly home, even if it's for the one day, and they take their whole check down to Puerto Rico, and all we're left with, and we're not even left with it because they're leaving it with American Airlines, and we don't get any money here. And so we started that training program, and that's what you need to do. We have to train our workforce for the jobs that you want to entice to come into the territory. You can't wait until they come here to say you're going to train them.
So let me ask you this then, because we're speaking on Hovenza, because I used to work in there as well.
Yeah.
You see where they would bring in a lot of people for jobs, and these are unskilled jobs that you could pick up any man off the street or any woman off the street to do, but they would still fly them in. Yes, it is up to the Labor Department to go and say, well, you can't do this and that. As a senator coming into the 31st legislature, what do you see yourself doing in ensuring that, when we have these contractors coming in and we have people directing traffic, that they are local residents as opposed to Puerto Ricans or even stateside coming in just for the job to then leave again?
My solution is to enact legislation that says you need to hire local Virgin Islanders, and you define local Virgin Islanders, and then if a company has a problem, challenge me, take it to court, and let the judges rule that it was unconstitutional. I'm not a judge, I'm not an attorney. I may know that it may not meet the muster
But I
of
thought that the Department of
constitutionality.
Labor already had the authority to ensure that there were a certain amount of individuals working from the territory. It seems to me the problem is that the Commission of Labor has not done what he was supposed to do in ensuring that we had this educated workforce and ensuring that the employers who are employing people are not employing people arbitrarily by bringing them in. Because what ends up happening is this. You have these employers who say, well, I need to go out because that's the loophole. I don't have anyone here to do that job. Because loophole is if you can't, then you can go out. Then if that's the case, then shouldn't the Commission of Labor then say, well, let me start training some people so they don't have to tell me that next year?
Which is what I've said, and which is why it's important that you train them. And of course, the onus is on the Department of Labor. But as a legislator, my job would be to tighten up the loopholes. And if need be, then you challenge me. That's why there's a separation of powers. We legislate, we create laws. If you don't like the law I've created to protect the people of the Virgin Islands and give them first preference for jobs, take me to court. And let the court rule on it.
Let me say this because I was doing a little research on the powers and responsibilities of the Commissioner of Labor and what defines a resident worker. And I don't know if this has been changed, but in Lexis it says that a resident worker is defined as anyone who was born or has residency in the U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and U.S. That's what defines a resident worker.
So
that is the huge loophole that
Puerto
they
Rican who
use.
born in
that would
Puerto
need to amend that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would need to be amended.
So-
and I have no problems amending the law to protect Virgin Islanders because I've been in a position where I've been forced to hire people from off island, and I did that 2 times. And the third go around, I was like, oh no, we're gonna train people and we're gonna have this hydroblasting training class. After 6 weeks, you become certified and we hire you here and we keep the money here. And many of those people who went through the program, they see me and Miss Russell, you're not in the refinery. We didn't clean up work. And it gives you a good feeling because if we had it implemented the program and had enforced the powers that be to understand that we're saving you money because you don't have to pay all of the additional costs in bringing in these employees from off island, and then the money circulates here in the territory.
Now, as you know, crime has been a very big issue in the territory. And while we don't necessarily expect each senator to have the expertise in every field, what we do want to have are senators who at least have an understanding of the major issues of the community. What is your plan to ensure that we adequately address our crime issue in the territory?
You boost their economy. If somebody's hungry and they can steal a plate of food or a pate from you to feed their hungry children, then they're going to do that. But if you have children and adults working, it cuts down on their available time to commit crime. No, you're not going to get to a 0% crime rate. We know that. However, if you give people hope and you provide them an avenue where they can be productive and positive, then you'll find that the level of crimes will be decreased. And I'll say this, we have people who claim to be experts, and under expert...
If they're on the fence of who they want to vote for, that they can, talk some more to you.
Well, no need to be on the fence. Let me be your voice, your choice for St. Croix. I'm number 17 on the ballot. My name is Jamila Russell. I can be reached at 340-227-2348. Everybody knows my number. Again, it's 340-227-2348. Don't be afraid. On the ballot, Shadeen, 17. And let's get Jamila elected in the 31st legislature. I'm ready to work for you because I'm your voice, your choice for St. Croix.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, that's Jamila Russell. We'll be back in a moment. Back in a moment. welcome back to VI Voices. We just had with us Jamila Russell, who clearly did a wonderful job, I think, tonight in explaining. Of course, we only have 20 minutes, so it's only so much you can ask in a 20-minute time frame, especially with all these issues that requires a whole lot more.
But you see, and Jamila said a few things tonight, and it wasn't. I don't want to respond to Jamila because I think Jamila encapsulated her platform, and she really told you what her direction is going to be when she goes in the legislature. But she spoke about health. The last two issues she spoke about were healthcare and marijuana. Healthcare, and I think there's no doubt we are lacking some stuff in healthcare. But I'm going to tell you, not because we are island, we should say that we should be satisfied.
I agree.
We should have everything here. Do you know why?
Everybody else has.
Because at ever so often a point in our time, we have at least an additional 20 to 30,000 people on island who are visiting. We can boast at any given time that we have a population of 150,000 people. And not just because we can boast that, but we should get everything else that you can get in New York City. And the healthcare discussion should also should be incorporated with long-term care for seniors. That's also part of the healthcare paradigm. That should be there. And I'm telling you, with somebody like Jamila, yes, we're going to understand. She's probably going to be able to articulate the discussion and arrive at some adequate solutions.
Yes.
Not just because she's dealing with it in a home setting, but because she knows all of it is deserving to us as Virgin Islanders.
Yes.
And I think that's what.
I agree.
Now, the marijuana question, I'm going to tell you straight out. The legislature not dealing with it. The seatbelt issue, we didn't come clamoring to them telling them that we needed seatbelts. But for the best interest of the people, they gave us seatbelts.
The federal government.
We didn't tell them that we needed.
But it wasn't
to
on a referendum,
No,
right?
thank you. No, it wasn't in a
That's my
referendum.
point.
They said they knew best, and they put forth these laws because they know
Same with your
best.
cell phone.
Thank you. And they charge us $1. They charge us $1 for WAPA and the lights and the highway. No, they're being, how to put it? They're acting scared. This is an issue. This isn't a marijuana consumption issue. This is a social epidemic issue that they're minimizing, and they're allowing the Bible-toting majority in these islands to run them scared. And I'm tired of that nonsense. When people were having children out of wedlock and sitting in government house, they won't calling people out. When their philanderer sitting in their church, they're not calling them out. When they're pedophiles sitting in their churches, they're not calling them out. And I'm tired. I say I'm a Christian. I belong to the Moravian Church. I believe in one God. But I think when it's time that we stop hiding behind the Bible and save our children save our society.
Where in the Bible does it say that marijuana is something that's prohibited?
Nowhere. I said talk to Dexter Scalpel. Talk to his church.
But he's not the only religious leader coming out and
But he is
stating
a
that.
vocal voice on this issue.
Oh, okay.
And he's telling people, do not vote for Senator Nelson.
Maybe not a very educated voice on the issue.
Thank
like
you.
I said, if you look in the Bible at no point says that marijuana is something that is prohibited, should not be consumed or whatnot.
Those who support the marijuana issue, how is it going to help the economy? Explain that to me. How does legalizing marijuana help the economy?
Number one.
Okay, go ahead.
Even if we start with baby steps first with decriminalization,
Right.
we will have a whole lot of money being saved in terms of a lot of the arrests that are being made for young men
that.
and so
That's
forth with that.
decriminalization,
Right,
fine.
emptying that out.
Right.
Okay. We have if we're looking into the medical aspect of it, there was a very informative forum held at UVI the other day, and for those who have been following marijuana, and other plants, I know the healing nature of the plants.
We get that.
We get that. You get that, but I don't think everybody else gets that. Okay?
I want to get to the economics aspect of
But
it.
that's where
I want to know how we're going to generate money for the Virgin Islands.
How it's going
and
to
who is it going to be beneficial to?
that is where the Senate now has to come in to put in the framework to make sure that it benefits those that look like us, basically.
Oh.
And That's up to them, really. How are they going to do? It's going
They
to
don't
take.
even want to pass it.
It's true. It takes
I
them
don't understand how
working,
they're
but it
going-
takes them working with agriculture to make sure that you can get those who are already growing it illegally. No, I'm serious. Because some of these boys who growing this thing illegally, I mean, it's the wickedest setups that they have.
Yeah,
you understand?
hydroponics,
high-tech
lighting
everything.
system.
No, you're
Oh, I know.
laughing. But if
No,
you
I
were to take...
I laughing because of your description, but go ahead.
No, you know, so now we take them and move them from out of the illegal side into the legal side now. Of course, you're going to tax it. And
Okay, so you're saying
like,
to have the legislature set up or put some parameters in place where you can protect the local people.
Exactly.
To be the business owners.
Exactly.
To be the land owners.
Exactly.
And that's where you're going with it. And that's
exactly.
where I want to know how
And
it's
that
going to
it
be
takes now where you have true, good, and proven leadership who thinks for the masses, not the masses in the pocket, but for the masses of the people, to say that, you know, with this legislation, as controversial as it is, we can still use this to benefit us, to make sure that there's money coming in, so that we have less young men and women on the corner selling and dealing
Well, we better
and
do it
actually
before
making
Puerto
money.
Rico does
But hear that.
Yeah, true.
See,
Or else that's
and
it.
Exactly.
Yoki's pushing this economic side, and she's right, because there's an economic side to benefit the growing of marijuana within this territory. Because instead of just smoking it, there's so much you can do
Consume
with
it.
the plant
It's all
and
good and well.
other varieties of cannabis. You know they're variety, but if you think about it, if these proponents if these people who are against the bill, the opponents, if they were so much against it because it's sinful and it's because it's a drug, where is the equity in making sure there's a full prohibition?
Is it a drug?
That
According
to
to
them,
the federal government,
yes.
it is.
Where's the full prohibition to say, okay, cigarettes, alcohol? Where is that prohibition?
Even
I'm not-
condoms. My gosh, if premarital sex is a sin, having sex out
But
of
I am
wedlock
not
is a
seeing
sin.
the advocacy for
So let's
that.
ban all the condoms so that way nobody can birth
Absolutely
control and
not.
all that.
Correct, but you see-
Because I am not paying for nobody else's children.
But
Thank
do
you.
you
So,
see? But do you see
no.
the ignorance
where's
in the
the
statement, though?
prohibition?
But that's where
No.
they're
For
leading
this,
to.
and I'm telling you
But
that-
that's where they're leading
I
to.
understand both arguments, but my only thing is the people.
And
How
that's-
is it beneficial to the people, and what's going to be put in place for the people to be the business owners?
And it's up to the
people.
Senate to do that. It's up to the Senate.
Which is
to do
why it's
that.
important for every voter
Yes.
to
understand
educate
the issue.
themselves and understand the issue and educate themselves on who they're going to send
Exactly.
to the Senate.
And
Exactly.
That's what's important. Your questions are very valid. Yeah, we'll legalize it, and then what? And then everybody else is making the money,
Right.
and everybody
But
who
then
should be
suck
helping are
themselves.
still right.
And then we're going to be the one in the fields, back to slavery.
But
again.
yeah, but think
Back,
about
we
this.
ever left?
Name another
Sorry.
commonly
Okay.
produced drug
Yes.
that is just grown and you can consume. Name one. Alcohol needs
Process.
processing. Cocaine, heroin, processing.
Well, actually, if you want to get into cocaine and how it's made with a cacao plant and all of
Okay,
this,
but,
and
but
that
it's still
stuff.
but it still have to be processed.
If you eat it in its raw form,
yeah,
you can still get.
but then you
cacao.
think about the drug,
Yeah, the leaves, yeah.
aspirin, those things are processed. So you understand the regulation of all of those
Right.
things that are processed because they're man-made and they can do harm. Yes, there's some natural plants that can do harm. Do you see? There's a prohibition on keeping the puffer fish. There's no prohibition from catching it, but there's a prohibition from growing marijuana plant. And why is that? And we need to explore that. And I'm saying this, to me, it's a societal issue because marijuana, the criminalization of marijuana presently is destroying this black Caribbean society.
Well, nationally, it's not just the Caribbean.
You know what else is also interesting?
nationally.
Probably a lot of these who are against marijuana probably drinking the same hemp milk, eating the same hemp seeds, wearing the clothes made
Well,
from
no,
the
you know
hemp
what I think the problem
fiber.
is? The problem with this marijuana debate is that, was it Senator Nelson did the first one?
Yes.
Yes.
Or hemp, whatever, hemp
Yeah,
one, right?
hemp,
Was he allowed his bill to be hijacked by opponents and turn it in and make a discussion about smoking, people who just want to smoke, and not have a discussion about what marijuana is really about and the good aspects of
Exactly.
it.
Cannabis, yes.
And so you have people thinking that all people want to do is just smoke, get high and smoke. And that's not what it really is about. And that's what it should have been about. And that's why I'm saying this whole discussion about a referendum is really silly. And it really wastes time. Because if you wanted it, you bring it. And all you do is, every time it doesn't vote properly in your thing, you bring it every time you can.
Yes.
That's what they did with the healthcare. How long did it take for the healthcare bill to come through? Forever for it to come through. But what did they do? Every session, they brought it back until they finally got people to agree to pass this legislation. Eventually, we're going to do it. But my point is, if we don't do it before Puerto Rico does
Or
it,
even Jamaica.
then it's done.
But-
We will never get the real benefits of being the first person to do it.
Jamaica already decriminalized
But
it.
and I don't want the audience to think we are concerned. We are just concerned about marijuana advancing the argument, because I think this argument that we're having in the legislature just shows what's wrong with our legislature in terms of the leadership that's lacking, and the whole
Education.
and yes, the lack of education, but the lack of informing the people by the legislature in terms of what the issue is and why it's so important that we need to understand what your views are on the issue. Because we say we don't want to do it, we're gonna let you tell us what to do. And usually when we tell them what to do, they don't do what we ask
Well,
them
they
to
didn't
do.
ask us what to do with Hovenza.
No.
They didn't ask us what to do
And,
with
I want,
Diageo.
and where the
They
job
didn't ask us what to do when they were raising their fees and raising their salaries,
and the
or
grocery
when they were
tax.
giving pension funds away.
Right, or the 8%.
None of that was happening.
But in
Right.
this instance, they
Or
want our
cutting
input.
8% salary. Right.
Yes, they want our input. So I mean, again, we need leadership in the legislature, and that is what I'm asking for. Leadership, good, decisive leadership.
I agree.
And Jamila may be one of those persons
I agree.
that
And
we need to
may I
consider.
say, for Jamila and anybody else going in, we have rain coming, and one thing that you see when the rain continually fall is that if you fly, you see a big, nice, lovely brown ring. We don't catch nothing. So I'm glad the rain is falling to bring this up into my head, because this has been a pet peeve of mine. Is that when you see the roads are flooded and everywhere, right, and we have our water bills so high, why? When we get sufficient rain enough to capture, so that we can begin to grow our own food and consume more of our own food, and to keep our roads from looking like a mess. But what I want to see is a straightforward capital improvement project that will redo the
That
entire
requires
road.
forward thinking.
Yes.
And requires
No,
us
no,
to
and
genuinely vote for people who can forward think.
But anyway, let me show you funny thing. Let's show you how the lack of forward thinking in Virgin Islands. Remember back in, I think it's in 1994, when they were building Castleberg? One
I don't
senator.
know billing
No, but let me listen.
What was the emergency?
No,
Yes.
but when
Not
they
a
sold,
forever neighborhood.
when they sold those homes to build those properties, those homes,
Yes.
do you know what they did? They changed the law.
To allow
They
them to
basically said, we're gonna build those homes, and we're gonna not allow those homes to be built with cisterns.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's not forward thinking. That's rather regressive. And that's when we keep on doing laws to say it's gonna benefit our people. It doesn't.
I agree.
It causes you harm over the long term, because they have to pay water bills.
Yeah.
They have to go to in turn buy those blue tanks or black tanks and put them up, and it only holds maybe 1,200 gallons of water. Your household probably use 1,200 gallons of water in a given week.
Right.
So we are not forward thinking. Look at those laws that we continue to undo. We have good laws on the books, and we continue to skirt around them and modify them to say it's in your best
agree.
interest as people.
But one thing that we know is forward thinking. At least one thing that's happened at the University of the Virgin Islands is that they've just started a new program that's called the Certified Public Managers Program.
Correct.
And we have a group of individuals who have started out in this program. They've been doing this for about a year and a half. And the first set of graduates graduated today on the St. Croix campus. And tomorrow it will be the St. Thomas campus.
Explain what a
And,
certified.
and it's called a Certified Public Managers Program.
And what
So
is
for
it?
all of those individuals who are working in the government or in any public sector, who may be like human resources managers, or they may be administrators in an agency, they have gone through a program like how you maybe have like the MPAs, but it's like a certified public management program, which means they are now certified in managing public entities.
But next question.
And so they're over here tonight as they're celebrating their graduation. And so we just wanted to make sure we say congratulations to them. I know one of them personally, Mr. Norman Edwards Jr., who serves as the administrator for the Public Defender's Office.
Correct.
Graduated through that program today, as well as the assistant administrator, Renelle
that's-
Stevens in St. Thomas.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is a very good thing.
Yeah.
But actually, they have other Virgin Islands that may already meet the certification, but they just don't have the thing
Right.
because some of them
Well, the
graduate
program is there.
No. But my thing is, why do you have to go through a certified public manager's program when you already have been trained to be a public manager?
Well, apparently there is this program, and it's national. It's like being like a national program.
So it's like a Six Sigma kind of thing.
Not Six Sigma, but it's where you become it's a national organization. Let's say you're a paralegal, there's a National Paralegal Association. Well, they have the same thing, and they can now go wherever.
Yeah.
It's not limited just here. Anywhere in the United States, they can go and work as certified public managers. And it was a very intense, as I understand it, a very intense program.
So this program is available for anyone to go
Yeah, in the government.
Yes,
I'm going to
anyone can go in there.
take it when they offer it.
Excellent. And so congratulations to them who have done that, and
But-
look out for it. And hopefully more people will go and become certified public managers.
But I do hope they'll be able to also persons who already have the degree and the experience, instead of giving them the course, maybe have an exam that they can also take.
No, I need them to go to the course. No.
Some of them already have the experience.
That's okay.
Go to the
No, go
course.
to the
Correct.
course.
Yeah.
You might
You
learn
say
new
so.
things. What happened around here is too many of us are
Hey,
late
and
for
that
years.
no, but
and we did it wrong. And we
That's
think
the
it's
challenge
right.
we face, where we should have a system of professional development in service training in government.
I agree.
And that's what's missing.
I agree.
We don't practice that. So hence, why you need all of these other things added on. If
I
you
agree.
did all of that with the union and management working in concert to make sure the membership and employees are well trained and certified, I don't think we will be having too much problem.
Forward thinkers, that's what you need. All right, here at VI Voices, I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. As you know, we're going through our election cycle, and we're hoping that everyone has an opportunity to be educated as to what is going on in our politics, in our territory, so you understand the importance of your vote. Your vote is extremely important, and your vote makes a difference in this community. So we can ensure that we are electing people who genuinely needs to do what the people need to do in their best interest. And I said last week what I was going to do every night as we close out this show. I'm going to say it again. When you go to vote, please go all the way and vote for everything, especially when you get to the Board of Elections, because that is an extremely important area. So we don't have the kind of confusion we've had going on. We need to be able to put people on there who genuinely want to ensure that we have transparency in our election system and fairness in our election system. So don't only vote for governor, delegate, lieutenant governor, and senator, but be sure to go down there and look for the Board of Elections and vote as well. So make sure your voices are heard. Good night, everybody.